Yo, welcome into the high noon stream. I am Pugs Moran. It is Wednesday afternoon. Sorry for the little bit of a delay there, but I really got a situation. It's pool day, pool cleaning day for those of you who join us every day here in the One Percenter compound, the Comfort Nest Lounge, nestled high atop the One Percenter compound where we do these shows. It's pool day. The pool guy is going to be here. So the dog is here, and the dog is being kept in this area because as if you've been a daily listener, and we do this show every Monday through Friday at noon. If you've been a daily listener, you know that the last couple of weeks we've had some air conditioning issues here in the Comfort Nest Guest House Lounge, and it froze up again. I made a mistake. I did something wrong. It froze up again, and so now we are going without air conditioning for the last 5 hours. And the dog is in here because the pool guy's here, and the dog is not happy because it isn't cool. It's a little bit warm, a little bit muggy. I got my paper towels for the flop sweat. Expect to see a lot of flop sweat during today's show. But the dog in protest accidentally pulled out one of the cords that goes into the whole setup here at the Comfort Nest Studios. So I apologize for that. A little bit of a delay there in getting the show started. All right. Normally, this show does come to you every Monday through Friday at noon till whenever we're done. And what do we do here? We go through all the hot topics of the day. If it's trending on one of the social networks, we'll touch on it. If Google has it at the top of their, must-read list, we'll talk about it. If it's a headline, if it's something that people are just buzzing about, we'll cover it here. We run through them. We just say like, oh, here's a topic. Here's why it's trending. Here's what I think of it. And moving on to the next topic. We do that every day, Monday through Friday. We do a second stream here at the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We call that one Pillow Talk. That comes on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 9 p.m. typically Monday through Thursday evenings. That's myself and James Parker. We call it Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. And that is, again, every night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That one's a bit more conversational. This is more about delivering you all the things that you need to know just a little bit about to get through today without feeling like an idiot. The nighttime show, more conversational. Could be any number of ridiculous subjects. All right, so let's get into today. What we do here is we break it down into 3 parts. The first part is we go through the history of today, why this day in history is so interesting. Then we move on to some birthdays. We celebrate some people who have made impacts who were born on this day, and then we mourn a few deaths. And then, and only then, after we feel we've paid, what was it? What's the thing? Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Right. After we have sufficiently covered all the history and all the important things of today, then we go into the trends. So let's get started here. Today is high noon. Well, not exactly. 12:16 to be exact if you're here in the Central Standard Time Zone, as we are in beautiful sunny North Texas. It is high noon on the 7th day of September, year of our Lord 2022. September 7th is the 250th day of the year. There are 115 days remaining until the end of the year. So as we like to say around these parts, get those New Year's Eve plans in order. On this day, happy birthday, Boston. On this day in 1630, the city of Boston, Massachusetts. Is that the oldest? I mean, I know it's not the oldest. I don't know. There's like some place in Florida, right? Which was, I don't know, someplace there. Someplace in Florida, I know, is like the oldest place in America, or not the oldest place. Because I guess if we're talking about the oldest place, then we're talking about what? Maybe the pre-Columbian era, the Mississippian cultures. No, we're talking about the first white man from Europe established place in America. 1630, Boston's up there. That's a long time. Of the big cities. Because I know that there's like Jamestown and then again that place in Florida and all that. And then there's probably some missions in like California, they're really old. But 1630 for a big city. Happy birthday, Boston. On this day in 1864 in the American Civil War, Atlanta is evacuated on the orders of Union General William Tecumseh Sherman. Get out! It's ours now. Everybody get out. That was on this day in 1864. On this day in 1876 in Northfield, Minnesota, Jesse James and the James Younger Gang attempt to rob the town's bank, but are driven off by armed citizens. Good guys with guns. That's what that sounds like. Good guys with guns. I don't know anything about... Here's what I know. Okay, here's a bigger question for you. I wonder if my 13-year-old knows who Jesse James is. And here's why. I don't know. Like, the only reason I know who Jesse James is because of the Brady Bunch. That's it. The Brady Bunch. If Jesse James didn't occupy the plot of one episode of the Brady Bunch when I was 6 years old, I might not know who Jesse James is. And I say this because I see the names of well-known, notorious outlaws from the old Western days that other people seem to know who they are. And I go, yeah, I never heard of that guy. Cactus Jack Billings, never heard. There's like a lot of guys that like I've never heard of. And I don't know that I'd have ever heard of Jesse James if not for the Brady Bunch. Oh, well, moving on. You know who else is like that? Benedict Arnold. We were never taught about Benedict Arnold in school. You know where I learned about Benedict Arnold? Brady Bunch. That's it. Jesse James and Benedict Arnold. All I know about them. The whole reason I know about them. Brady Bunch. On this day in 1940 during World War II, the German Luftwaffe begins the Blitz of London. 50 consecutive nights, German warplanes rained hellfire down on the good people of England. On this day in 1963, the Pro Football Hall of Fame opens in Canton, Ohio with 17 charter members. On this day in 1979, the Chrysler Corporation asks the United States government for a $1.5 billion bailout to avoid bankruptcy. I remember this as a little kid because remember all the commercials they had to do? This was when Lee Iacocca became a thing. You know who Lee Iacocca is? Lee Iacocca was just a businessman. We shouldn't know who Lee Iacocca is. But it was like the beginning of the corporate titan as celebrity era. Chrysler took a whole bunch of our tax dollars because they ran their business into the ground. And it was determined that if Chrysler were to go out of business, that wouldn't be a necessarily good thing for the economy of Michigan and, all the layoffs and all the people there. So the government, meaning we, the taxpayers, we bailed out Chrysler. And in return, they had to trot out their CEO on all of their commercials and basically apologize, promise to do better, and then, promote whatever cool new thing Chrysler has. But that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason we knew who Lee Iacocca was, because they took $1.5 billion from the American taxpayers, and we demanded that guy trot out in front of us and explain himself. That was in 1979. On this day in 1996, rapper and actor Tupac Shakur is fatally shot in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada. He succumbs to his injuries 6 days later. After the Tyson fight, right? Was that after Tyson Holyfield? I'm not sure exactly if that was the fight where it occurred, but I started watching. I don't know if you guys have Hulu. Some of you may not. Hulu has a new series called Tyson, and it's the one that is that Tyson isn't behind. So there are two new Mike Tyson projects. This one on Hulu. Oh, hold on, dog! You got to stop doing that, buddy. You got to stop moving the dog just moved her paw and it accidentally unplugged my computer for a brief second, but we're good now. You okay, kiddo? You hang in there, girl. You hang in. She's fine. She's a swamp dog. Trust me, she can live without air conditioning for a couple hours. What was I saying? Totally forgot what I was saying. Oh, the Tyson thing. So I'm watching the Tyson thing on Hulu, which is the one that Mike Tyson doesn't like. Mike Tyson is behind in backing another project. That one's got like Jamie Foxx involved. It looks to be much bigger in scope. This Hulu thing is a TV show, and it's also got a pedigree. Like the people behind this Hulu show are not. Margot Robbie is one of the executive producers, and not to say that she's good at creative stuff, but there's a big name attached to it. But also, it's the I, Tonya people, which might explain why Margot Robbie's involved. So it's got a pedigree as far as doing quality work. And I'm liking it. I'm liking the Hulu Tyson thing. The guy who's playing Tyson is, I don't know. I'm only on episode 2. I don't know if he's great or if he's really bad and distracting, but the story is interesting. See how it played out. For instance, I always knew that Mike Tyson grew up in like a really crappy environment and slums, right? But did you know Mike Tyson had a brother and a sister? I didn't know Mike Tyson had a brother and a sister. Did you know that Mike Tyson's brother, Ronald, is a surgeon? I mean, so say what you will about Mike Tyson's mom being like, a prostitute and, all that kind of stuff. But she had two boys, and one became one of the most celebrated athletes in the world, and the other one's a surgeon. So, who knows? Tupac Shakur died on this day. And we can go into that, the controversies there. Of course, you had the retaliation with Biggie just a few weeks later. I don't know. Any number of documentaries you can watch on the Tupac Shakur killing and leave you as many questions as I do. I don't know. I don't know what that was about, but I think the police were involved. Anyway, 2008, the United States government takes control of the two largest mortgage financing companies in the U.S., Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Remember that, 2008, when the end of the world happened? And then we all went, oh, so this is the end of the world? Okay, we can deal with that. And then we rebuilt. Yeah, that's what happened. Let's get into some birthdays. People celebrating birthdays today. Paul Brown, born on this day in 1908. Do you know who Paul Brown is? He's Mr. Football in Ohio. Cleveland Browns, named after him. So he was like a very big part of the Cleveland Browns. And then there was like a point in the 60s or the 50s or something where the Cleveland Browns got like new owners, and the new owners weren't like super cool with Paul Brown. What with the team being named for him and everything, and him being like, this innovator in football, they thought he was a little bit big for his britches. So Paul Brown walked from the Cleveland Browns and then just started another team called the Cincinnati Bengals. Look at that, Paul Brown. Two football teams that owe him. Born on this day in 1936, Buddy Holly, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist from Lubbock, Texas. One of the last big stunts that I did on a fairly high-profile morning radio show that I worked on when I was younger was we did this bit called Where's Pugs? Where I would go hide somewhere in America. I'd have to wake up early in the morning. I'd have to get on it was through Southwest Airlines. Get on a Southwest plane, and I would fly somewhere. And the premise of the bit was I would be hidden somewhere in America during the morning show. And the morning show would take calls throughout the day with people looking for hints as to where in America I was. As soon as the hints became obvious as to where I was, we would have some great prize. Typically it was Southwest Airlines plane tickets. So what would happen is someone in the area where I was listening, I would always be outside the area because we were syndicated to a number of cities in the Midwest. So I would always be outside the area. So people listening on the radio would then have to call someone that they knew in the area where I was, convince that person to come and tag me. And the first person to tag me, like let's say you were listening in Chicago, and let's say that I was in this case, I was in Lubbock, Texas for Buddy Holly's birthday. That's the whole point of this. So I was standing by Buddy Holly's grave. Now the show was playing Buddy Holly music. They were talking about Buddy Holly's birthday, blah, blah, blah. And finally somebody put together that's where Pugs is. That's where Pugs is calling in. I was sitting on Buddy Holly's grave. And someone tagged, it was a great bit, but it was one of the last ones that I did for that show before I moved on to the alternative rock station there in town. But I'll never forget it because for people who go to Texas Tech, it occurred on the weekend after. I think that this would have been or the week after. This would have been opening week of college football. Texas Tech, they had a big incident the day before I arrived. Their horse, the guy comes barreling out of the tunnels at Texas Tech riding the horse. Well, a car dealership in the area had given away free Frisbees to all the fans. And of course, before the game, the fans started throwing the Frisbees. So when the horse came charging out on this cobblestone path, there were a whole bunch of errant Frisbees all over the cobblestones. And the poor horse hit a Frisbee in full stride and just busted its leg. They had to put it down. It was a big sports story. Yeah. Happy birthday, Buddy Holly. That's what I remember when I think of Buddy Holly. The time I was at your grave and there was this big incident happening in Lubbock when the horse died. Also celebrating a birthday today, Earl Manigault. Earl Manigault is interesting. You may not know his name. Earl the Goat Manigault. He was a basketball player who was also a very high-functioning junkie. He was a junkie who could still play basketball really well, albeit at the Rucker Park level. He was one of these street ball legends, Earl the Goat Manigault. Interestingly enough about Earl the Goat Manigault, never made it in the NBA because, well, he was a junkie, but he was considered the greatest basketball player who ever lived, who just threw it all away and didn't care. And now he's dead. He died. But by the way, fun fact, you know how today regularly when talking about the best in any sport, we call them the GOAT, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. LeBron James the GOAT. You know, we call everybody the GOAT now, greatest of all time. He was the first. Earl the GOAT Manigault was given that nickname back in the 1960s, and it's a number of factors came into it, but it took off with it being the acronym for greatest of all time. But it also has to do with his last name, Manigault. Some people thought that it was Manigoat, so they were calling him the GOAT. But he is widely credited as being the first person to receive the GOAT, greatest of all time nickname. Earl the GOAT Manigault. Born on this day in 1947, Gloria Gaynor, still alive, so I guess she will survive. Oh, that was bad. That was not good. But applause nonetheless. I'll take them. Born on this day, 1953, Benmont Tench, keyboardist, songwriter, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Born on this day in 1954. Ah, man, how great would it have been to be this guy in 1990? I don't know about now. I don't know what he's been getting into for the last 25 years, but Corbin Burnson. Remember Corbin Burnson, 1954, Arnie Becker from L.A. Law? He had that run in the major league movies. Handsome, charming, hit TV show. Life was good to be Corbin Burnson around about 1990. Diane Warren. Diane Warren, born on this day in 1956. Diane Warren, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say most prolific American songwriter of all time. That's crazy. That's crazy. You think I'm nuts? Just go ahead. Click on the Diane Warren discography on Wikipedia. This woman has like a bazillion hit songs. She's written for everybody from Celine Dion to Aerosmith. They all went number one. She has quietly written half the song. You could probably, I bet you know the lyrics to half of her songs. You don't even know who she is, but she's having a birthday today, 1956, Diane Warren. In 2020, British Music Magazine rated her number 3 as the most important person in popular music of the last 100 years. 100 years, number 3. There you go. Let's see here. 1 and 2 was John Lennon and Elvis Presley. John Lennon, Elvis Presley, Diane Warren. Yeah, it was a British magazine. Rolling Stone had her rated as like number 10. She was top 10 in most important music, but whatever. She's important, and it's her birthday, Diane Warren. Born on this day in 1963, Eazy-E. In my 6'4", Eazy-E, interesting guy. Boys in the Hood, of course. What else? NWA, of course, NWA. But I always think of Eazy. I always think of Boys in the Hood, that song, and I always think, why did this song become so iconic? I mean, I was not there, like I wasn't in Compton, but I was around when that song first came out, when you first started going to house parties on the south side of Chicago, and you would hear this like that. I never understood that song. I mean, I like the guitar riff. I like that in the song. But man, it just seems like almost like a nursery rhyme. And maybe that's the magic of it. Maybe that's why people love it. I just always think, really? That's a hit? You have a hit with that? Seems like something I could have done in my garage with a Casio and a little recorder. Okay, also birthdays, 1973, Shannon Elizabeth, American model and actress. She, of course, was the hot exchange student in the American Pie movies, never did anything else. Spent a week with her in Iceland. She came on a trip to Iceland. She was like one of the celebrities that the Amstel people brought along. I think my partner Kelly liked her better. I feel like my partner Kelly like hung out with her a bit and they played cards and stuff. But Shannon Elizabeth just seemed like, and look, she was stuck in Iceland with this beautiful resort hotel, though. She was stuck in this beautiful resort hotel with a whole bunch of American shock jocks. A whole bunch of dudes. Hey, man, it's Nadia from American Pie. I mean, I'm sure she wasn't enjoying all the people that she was around. So, in my brief encounters with her, the fact that she seemed incredibly cold and very standoffish, I can kind of understand, given the rest of the dudes that were hanging around. Hey, man, I'm Bonzo Mike from Albany. Come sit in my lap. Nadia from American Pie. Hey, man, we got Nadia from American Pie. Show us your boobs. I don't think she was into that. I don't think that was not what she was there for. And maybe that's why I got a little attitude from her. I don't care. I had fun. I had other people. I was in Iceland. Have you ever seen the women in Iceland? They're all 6 foot blonde. They're all gorgeous. They're all like Swedish supermodels. I didn't need no attention from Shannon Elizabeth. Although, again, I've had this conversation with my former partner, Kelly, and she says she was wonderful. So apparently Shannon Elizabeth was different with the women than she was, which would explain. I mean, come on. Shannon Elizabeth, she's famous for one thing, for being the super hot chick that a bunch of guys peeped on in an American Pie. So Evan Rachel Wood, born on this day in 1987. Boy, she's been through some shit. Anybody watch that Evan Rachel Wood documentary about her relationship with Marilyn Manson? I think it's on HBO Max, Phoenix Rising. I saw a little bit of it, and then I was just like, yeah, this is all too weird for me. All right, so bad shit went down. I'm going to move on. I'm just going to move on. Deaths. All right, we lost some people today. Before we get into the trends. Woo! Starting to get hot, boy. Got no air conditioning today. Got to let the, not all day today. I'm going to crank the heat after the show. I'm going to get out of here. A little running around to do. I'm going to crank the heat for about an hour just to make sure that the air conditioning unit is melted. Right now it's currently encrusted in ice. And then I'll come back in, turn off the heat. It'll be like a sauna in here, but then I'll put the air conditioning on and everything will be fine. And by 5 o'clock, everything will be fine. Right now, these are the hard times. Deaths, big ones. We got some big deaths, I guess. Keith Moon died on this day in 1978. English drummer, The Who. Mooney died today. How did he die? OD, I'm guessing. Drank himself to death, didn't wake up. Yeah. Warren Zevon died on this day in 2003. Warren Zevon, lawyers, guns, and money. I love Warren Zevon. Adam Reyna suggests that we do a Diane Warren song draft. And I don't know that I could effectively do that because I don't like any of her songs. I mean, I look prolific, hit writer, all of this kind of stuff, but like her big hits for Aerosmith were some of their most poppy stuff, she's mostly known for writing for like Celine Dion and who was a bunch of country artists, female country. It's not really my thing. So I don't know that I could do her justice. I respect the hell out of her, but I also recognize she's not my thing. She's not doing it. It's not for me. So I don't know that I could do a Diane Warren draft. I did think about it though. I did. I thought about it and I started looking at all these love songs. I'm like, this is not good. All right. So Warren Zevon died on this day in 2003, cancer. Brilliant lyricist. God, I loved reading his lyrics. If you ever just want to, fall into a Warren Zevon hole. But make sure you have the lyrics. He's just so fun. Just such a fun writer. Dead on this day in 2018, American rapper Mac Miller. Mac Miller falls into the Selena category for me. Selena, the Tejano star. Selena, I did not know was ever alive. I became aware of Selena after she had passed away. I became aware of Mac Miller after he passed away. Seems like tragic losses in both cases, but I was not familiar. And then essentially what I'm saying is it exposed a blind spot in my popular culture. Now, Selena, this was 30 years ago, but it was such a big deal. And I'm like, how can this death be such a big deal when I had never even heard the name before? That's kind of how I felt about Mac Miller. Mac Miller died on this day 4 years ago. 4 years ago. All right, let's get into the topics. Here are the trends that everybody is talking about today. Bear with me as it is warm in here. Am I glistening? My glasses are sliding off my face. Heat wave. Gonna have a heat wave. Heat wave is still trending. California is just getting their ass whipped. Yesterday we talked about how Monday set all kinds of records. Well, guess what? Tuesday set all kinds of records too. A historically severe September heat wave is baking the West, breaking hundreds of records, posing a danger to the public health and pushing California's power grid to the limit. Some records have been shattered by wide margins as the scorching air mass exacerbates the fire danger in the drought-stricken region. After San Jose and Sacramento soared to all-time records of 109 and 116 degrees Tuesday afternoon, California's independent system operator said the state's electricity supplies were running low. It warned consumers on Tuesday evening that rotating power outages are now possible. Oh my God! All right, so what are they saying? How long is this going to go? The ISO urged residents to pre-cool their homes to 72 degrees Tuesday and Wednesday mornings and then turn the thermostats to 78 during peak demand hours between 5 and 9 p.m. I hate this. Why can't we just have all the electricity we want? You keep giving us things that need to be plugged in and charged. Extreme heat will significantly increase the potential for heat-related illnesses. Yeah, we get that. Okay. They got fires. They got fast-moving fires hitting on the red flag warnings with dangerous fires and extreme heat encapsulate the entirety of Montana, in addition to northern Idaho, much of Oregon, and northern and eastern Washington. Yeah, this is weird, man. This is weird because that part of the country doesn't get this hot. You know, the northern, northwest corner, northern California. All right, heat. Well, we went through it. We went through it for a good 2 months where it was just over 105 seemingly every day. It was the worst. Eliza Fletcher is trending. This is the 34-year-old school teacher in Memphis who went for a jog on Friday. Her body was found. They have charged and arraigned this morning Cleotha Abston, 38 years old, of Memphis. He's a guy that's been in and out of prison. Beautiful young woman, whole life in front of her. Well, actually, she's had kids, so she was pretty much ensconced in her life. But a lot to come, a lot to come in the future for sure. Just murdered, went out for a guy behind her on a bike, found her keys and phone and bottle of water just strewn across the. Yeah, they found her quick though, and here's the interesting thing. How do I go there? Did they find the billionaire kid quicker than they would find another kid? They found her. They found the guy. They did everything. She's the granddaughter of like one of the most important people in the history of Memphis. He's like this billionaire. She comes from this billionaire family. And they found her pretty quick. I mean, I guess I'm glad they caught the guy, but just such a scary thing. Such a scary thing. Not for me, because, I think that this is, one of the things that I think that men do not think about all that much, that women have to think about all the time. And that's about vulnerability. That's about being vulnerable to some psycho, bigger, larger, scarier, in most cases, man out there. I had a situation once where my female partner and I, we used to go out and we used to do these big bar nights. And I got angry at her once early on because I would show up to these events and they would be packed with people and we would have a lot of fun. And, I would move around from table to table and try and hang out and drink with people and make them feel welcome and, try and create a thing. And I used to look at my partner and my partner would stand in a corner with her back in the corner and just surrounded by a group of people. And she would like hold court. And I was always like, man, it kind of bothered me. And then she explained to me what she was doing. And I completely understood it. And it was sort of like an aha moment for me where I went, oh, that's right. You're not a guy. You're a girl. And you have to approach these kinds of things differently. Guys used to grab her ass. Guys used, you know what I mean? She'd be walking through. And so for her own protection, she decided that she was most comfortable with her back against a wall, being able to see everybody. And so I got that. But that's this girl, Eliza Fletcher. She just went for a jog. I carelessly go for jogs all over the place. When I lived on the south side of Chicago just a year and a half, 2 years ago, I used to go jogging in the woods, like in the not a care in the world. You know what I was afraid of? like wolves. I was afraid of maybe stray dogs that were living in the woods, some gangbanger pit bulls that were that's the kind of stuff that I was afraid of. I was never concerned for my safety. I was never worried that I was going to be jumped. And every time a woman goes out and does the exact same thing I just completely took for granted as being 100% safe, they have that there are people like Cleotha Abston out there who will just, good Lord, Apple event. That's what I'm seeing. So if you're seeing Apple event, cool guy here, getting a little antsy. A little antsy. What are you doing? You want to say hi? No, you don't want to say hi. Go, lay down. The dog is getting old. All right, that's why Apple event is trending. Sue Bird is trending. Sue Bird is a WNBA player, University of Connecticut legend. She has retired. Her final game. Sue Bird. Sue Bird is trending. Seattle Storm, is that who she? I think. I'm not sure. I'm not on WNBA. I don't pretend to be. She's trending. A lot of people are showing love for the great Sue Bird. Really familiar, but seems to have had a career. Sue Bird is trending. Remember her? She's the Theranos Wick. Remember her? A whole bunch of stuff. There's a Hulu series about her or something. Is seeking a new trial. Disgraced Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes is seeking a new trial. I think she's supposed to report. She was convicted like 9 months ago, and she was like, they're like, okay, you're guilty, but it's January, you're guilty, but you don't have to report to prison until September. Go have fun, girl. Go be you, girl. Just go be you for 9-10 months. Just go. Reporting. Now regrets the role he played in conviction for All right. Are we back or are we gone? I'll wait for the chat room to catch up. Am I still glitching? I'm going to pause until I keep moving, keep talking, just so you can tell me. It's better now? Okay. Give me some more people. Back now. We're back. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it still glitchy? Glitchy for sure. But is it now? I need to know if it's glitchy now. Glitching again. 5. Yes, it's glitching. In and out. April. No, it's not. Jeez Louise. I'm going to go one way and come back. Reboot everything. We'll be back.